Hello students, welcome back to Botany channel. Today we are seeing the genetics topic. Genetics means study of the genes and the study of the inheritance. Anything is called as the genetics. So inheritance occurs with the genes only. Gene is a small unit in the inheritance, what we can say. Because if the gene is in a chromosome, gene is a very small unit which will causes the much more impact on the inheritance of the specific characters in an organism. So gene is called as the unit of inheritance. So like this, with the study of the genes is called as the genetics. And these genes will give the physical, that is the physical appearance of an organism, that is the external characters, that is called as the phenotype of an organism. And next comes, if the by seeing the phenotype, sometimes we can guess what could be his genetic nature inside the person, inside an organism. That is the genotype, that is the allelic representation. Genetic representation of the phenotypic characters is called as the genotype of an organism. In other words, what we can say in the competitive exam wise, the allelic representation of an organism is called as a genotype. So, who started this studying of this genetics? Genetics was first started by Gregor John Mendel. He has studied about this many things about the genes and the inheriting characters in one single plant, that is the pea plant. And why he has selected pea plant for his experiments? Because of his very short lifespan and having the many contrasting characters in it, and the progeny which are produced in each and every generation are many in number. Okay, and the the plant is an annual plant. 6 months is the lifespan, and the plant can go with the reproduction, that is by the cross pollination, that is a piston mechanism, and the self pollination. That is the only one plant in the entire plant kingdom which can opt the cross pollination as well as the self pollination. No other plant will do. Any plant will go with only one type of reproduction, either the cross pollination, either the self-pollination. If they are doing self-pollination, they never opt the cross. If they opt the cross-pollination with the help of the birds or the insects, then they never go with the self-pollination. But pea plant will do this. Because of that one single concept only, Mendel has selected this plant for his experiments. Okay, so here he has given 3 laws. And when we are talking about his laws, we should say what are the words he has used for his experiments when he does his experiments at that time, long back. Okay, so there he has used the few words now, which those words we are not at all using in our regular routine work. Otherwise, when we are routine means when we are studying the genes, at that time we are not using those words. The words were changed now from the Mendel's words, what he has used. He has used the word as the factors. Okay, so factors are nothing but the genes. Now, what we are saying, factors are the genes. We changed this word to the genes now. Next one, he used it as the trait word. Trait means character. Now we are saying it as character. At that time, Mendel used as the trait. What he said in the from the parents to the offsprings, the traits were transferred through factors. That means some factors are responsible for carrying out the traits from the parents to the offspring. So what Mendel said. Okay, so some factors. What are the factors? He has to say about the genes, but he could not able to study completely the genes and their characters and their structures. So he said about the word, and we use the word as the factors over there. So here we changed the factors to the genes and traits to the characters. What they ask in the competitive exam is this one only. Gene word was used by another word by Mendel. What was that word? Otherwise, factors were changed into genes. Traits were changed into characters. And he said each and every character that is having the each and every character, the phenotypic character should be represented with the contrasting character, contrasting alleles. What are meant by contrasting? Contrasting means two different genes are present over there to represent one specific character. That it may be the height of a plant, otherwise color of a flower, otherwise seed shape, seed color, okay, pod shape, anything. That is the contrasting characters. If the two, that means what he said, alleles. He used the another word as the alleles. Alleles means the contrasting characters, contrasting genes, which used for the genetic representation. So these ones we can say as the genes also. Okay. So in any organism, the characters are represented with a pair of alleles, pair of the genes. Two genes should be there. That's the one what we are calling the organisms as the diploid organisms. Okay. So in this one, we can say the homozygous, heterozygous, and the homozygous. What is meant by homozygous nature? Homozygous nature means when the genes, when the two alleles are of the same kind. Tall character can be represented like this. When the two alleles of the same kind are present to represent one character, one trait, that is called as the homozygous condition. So in this, we can say this is the one. And the another one is the dwarf character, which can be represented with the same alleles. That is the small t. Okay. So why the capital letter and the small letter? When he said some characters are completely dominant in all the generations. The characters are inherited in the dominant way only. That means coming from one generation to another generation without any variations. Those characters are called as the dominant characters. When some characters which are expressed only in few organisms, that means in the offsprings only few organisms got that characters, and those are seen in a less number. That also we can say as a less number. That is called as the recessive character. Okay. So always the dominant character should be represented with the capital letters, and the recessive character should be represented with the small letters. And here the homozygous, that means the two alleles which are having the same kind to represent one trait is called as the homozygous representation. Now comes the heterozygous. Heterozygous means when the characters heterozygous. Heterozygous means when the allele in the alleles which are of two different kinds. One is a dominant allele, another one is a recessive allele, but representing only one character, that is the heterozygous condition. When two contrasting alleles are present to represent one specific trait is called as the heterozygous. So these two are the contrasting characters. One is the dominant allele, another one is the recessive allele. But both are representing only the dominant characters, because the dominant characters will suppress the recessive characters to express in the heterozygous condition. Whereas in the homozygous, the recessive alleles will be expressed their own characters. But in the heterozygous, it's not possible. That's the one what Mendel said. So he has given three laws actually. That is the law of dominance, law of segregation, law of independent assortment. The first one is the law of dominance. Law of dominance says that the dominant characters are going to be expressed in any generation without any change as it is. That is called as the law of dominance. This law of dominance can be explained with the only one character at a stretch. That is the monohybrid cross also we can say. And he has done the hybridization process in two different ways, taking one character at a time, otherwise two characters at a time. If he has taken only one character at a time, that is called as the monohybridization. And if he has taken two characters at a time for the hybridization, then that is called as a dihybrid cross. So law of dominance can be explained by Mendel with the monohybrid cross. So here he has taken tall plants crossed with the dwarf plants. So tall is always dominant, represented with the capital T, capital T. Dwarf is represented with the small t. And once we cross the F1 generation, we will get the capital T and the small t. That is a heterozygous. One allele from this parent, another allele from this parent. So pair up to have the F1 generation. All are tall. Okay, now this F1, whenever we cross the F1 to F1, then we will get the F2 generation with the 4 offsprings we will get. Okay, in those 4 offsprings, the phenotype will be tall and the dwarf characters we can see. So how many are tall? 3 plants will be tall and 1 plant will be the dwarf. And how can we say this cross? We can say, we can use the Punnett square picture for this. Okay, when we have used the Punnett square picture, capital T, small t, capital T, small t. Here capital T, capital T, capital T, small t, capital T, small t, small t, small t. So here the phenotypes are of tall, tall, tall. This is also tall. This is also tall. This is also tall. So tall is 2, dwarf is the phenotype. And how many plants are of tall? 3 plants tall, na? So 3:1 is the phenotypic ratio. Now comes the genotypic ratio. The allelic representation of the phenotype is called as the genotype. Then here what we can say, allelic representation, capital T is to capital T, small t is to small t, small t. See here, capital T, capital T, capital T, small t. Here also capital T, small t. So only once we can write. Okay, like that we can say capital T, capital T, capital T, small t, small t, small t. So the plants are 1:2:1. That means 1 plant of this kind, 2 plants of this kind, and 1 plant of this kind will get it in the genotypic ratio. And here they will ask us the fractions. So 1:2, so total phenotypic ratio is 3:1. So total how many progeny we got? Total 4 progeny. 3 plus 1, 4, na? So in that 3/4 are tall, 1/4 is the dwarf. That means 75% are tall, 25% are dwarf characters. That also we can say, if the genotypic ratio, if we have taken, that is 1:2:1. Then in this, what we can say, 1/4, 2/4, 1/4. 2/4 again simplified as half, 1/2. Then here 50%, this is a 25%, this is 25%. Like this they will ask in the NEET exam, otherwise in the EAMCET exam. So remember these ratios and the fractions. So in the next video, we will see the dihybrid cross. Okay, so that we can say how the 2 characters at a time he has taken, and to resolve the character, the contrivances and everything, how the characters are passing, we can see. Okay, please subscribe this channel and don't forget to like and share. Okay, right. Thank you.